The chandelier light inside the Plaza Hotel ballroom shimmered against Emily Carter's white veil as the string quartet continued playing like nothing was wrong. But something was very wrong. The groom wasn't there. 200 guests sat frozen at their tables. Champagne glasses trembled in uncertain hands. A whisper started near the back row and rolled forward like a quiet storm. "He's not coming." Emily stood alone at the altar, bouquet shaking, mascara burning her eyes. Her father had already walked her down the aisle. The officiant cleared his throat for the third time. Her phone vibrated in her palm. One message. "I'm sorry. This is better for both of us." Ryan, her fiancé, the man she defended for years, the man who promised forever. Across the ballroom entrance, Victoria Lang stood in a pale blue dress, lips curved slightly, as if she'd known this would happen. The humiliation hit Emily like ice water. Cameras lifted. Someone was already recording on an iPhone. This would be online before sunset. She felt the room turning against her. Pity, judgment, curiosity. And then, from the side aisle, a tall figure in a dark, tailored suit stepped forward. Dr. Adrian Blake, New York's most sought-after cosmetic surgeon, the man who operated on actresses, models, influencers, women engineered to perfection. He had been there as a guest of a hospital donor. He stopped inches from her, his voice low, steady. "Look at me, not them." Her breathing faltered. His eyes weren't clinical. They weren't assessing. They were furious. Not at her. For her. "I can't watch them destroy you," he whispered. Her fingers tightened around the bouquet. Then he said the words no one expected. "Marry me instead." The music was still playing. The guests were still watching. And Emily realized her entire life had just split into two possible futures. 6 months before the wedding disaster, Emily Carter believed she was building something steady, something safe. She wasn't chasing luxury. She wasn't dreaming about penthouses overlooking Central Park or diamond necklaces from Tiffany & Company. She just wanted stability. A small apartment in Manhattan, a husband who came home at night, a future that didn't feel fragile. Ryan Foster seemed like that future. He worked in real estate development, always dressed sharp, always talking about expansion and strategic partnerships. When he slipped a simple engagement ring onto her finger during a quiet dinner near Fifth Avenue, Emily cried because she thought she'd finally been chosen for love, not for advantage. But subtle changes began soon after. Ryan started attending more high-profile events without her. Charity galas, investor dinners, private parties in Upper East Side townhouses. He would say, "It's just business, Em. You'd be bored." One night, she surprised him by stopping by a rooftop event at the River Cafe, where he claimed he'd be networking. That was the first time she saw Victoria Lang. Victoria stood beside him in a sleek black gown, confident, polished, the daughter of a powerful property magnate. Her smile lingered too long when she noticed Emily approaching. Ryan introduced them quickly. "This is just a business contact." But Emily felt it. That subtle shift. The way his hand left hers too fast. The way Victoria's eyes scanned her natural face, almost dismissive. Around the same time, Dr. Adrian Blake's name kept appearing in the same circles. His cosmetic clinics on Fifth Avenue were expanding. Celebrities trusted his hands. Influencers praised his artistry. Emily had only met him once, briefly, at a school fundraising exhibit where he donated quietly without media coverage. He'd studied her children's artwork longer than anyone else. He didn't seem impressed by fame. Meanwhile, Ryan became more distant. Late calls, locked screens, sudden gym sessions at 10 p.m. When Emily once asked gently, "Are we okay?" he laughed and kissed her forehead. "Don't overthink. We're building something big." She believed him. She didn't realize she was the only one building with her heart. Dr. Adrian Blake built a reputation in Manhattan on precision. His clinic on Fifth Avenue overlooked a skyline that glittered like ambition itself. Inside, the waiting room smelled faintly of white lilies and expensive perfume. Actresses flipped through fashion magazines. Influencers adjusted their reflections in mirrored walls. Models discussed symmetry, jaw lines, cheek volume. Adrian listened. He measured. He operated. He gave them what they asked for. But he never admired it. He understood structure, bone density, skin elasticity, proportion. Beauty to him was mathematics, predictable, adjustable, controlled. What he didn't understand anymore was authenticity. Most of the women he met wanted to erase something: a wrinkle, a nose bump, a scar, a past. And he helped them professionally. But privately, and he felt disconnected from the world he worked in. His mother had begun pressuring him months ago. "Victoria Lang would be perfect for you," she said one evening at their Upper East Side townhouse. "Her father is investing in medical properties in Beverly Hills. A merger would expand your clinics nationwide." Adrian remained silent. Marriage to his family was strategy. Victoria herself made her interest clear. She visited his clinic under the excuse of consultations, though she barely needed anything done. She would lean forward and ask about his 5-year expansion plan, about stock projections, about branding partnerships. She was intelligent, ambitious, polished. He felt nothing. Then there was Emily. The first time he truly noticed her was not at a gala, not under chandeliers, but at a small elementary school art show he had sponsored quietly. She was kneeling beside a child, adjusting the frame of a crooked painting. No makeup beyond light mascara, no performance, no calculation. When she laughed, it wasn't practiced. He had studied her face instinctively. Clear skin, natural lines, untouched features. But what unsettled him wasn't her appearance. It was her presence. She didn't seem to want anything from the room. Months later, he saw her again, on Ryan's arm at a fundraiser near Central Park. She wore a simple dress while Victoria shimmered nearby in designer silk. And in that moment, Adrian saw something else. Ryan wasn't looking at Emily. He was looking at opportunity. The music never stopped. That was what made it surreal. As Emily stood frozen beneath the crystal chandeliers of the Plaza Hotel, the string quartet continued playing Pachelbel's canon as if the ceremony were unfolding perfectly. Guests shifted in their seats, confusion spreading like smoke. Ryan was gone. Victoria stood near the back, arms folded loosely, watching. Emily's father whispered, "Sweetheart, we can step away." His voice trembled more than hers. But before she could answer, Dr. Adrian Blake stepped fully into the aisle. The room recognized him instantly. Whispers changed tone. "That's Adrian Blake, the surgeon. What is he doing?" He didn't look at the guests. He didn't acknowledge the cameras rising discreetly from tables. He focused only on Emily. Up close, he could see the mascara beginning to blur beneath her eyes. Not dramatically, not theatrically, just quietly human. "I know this is insane," he said softly. "But if you walk out alone, they'll tear you apart by morning." Her breath hitched. He wasn't wrong. Social media would dissect her. Headlines would humiliate her. Sponsors, parents from her school, even distant relatives would see the clips. "And if I marry you," she whispered, "you walk out respected, not abandoned." There was no arrogance in his voice, no savior complex, just strategy, and something protective beneath it. Across the room, Victoria's posture stiffened. Emily's heart pounded so loudly she barely heard the quartet anymore. This wasn't romance. This wasn't love. This was survival. But survival with dignity. Adrian extended his hand. "I won't touch you without permission. I won't trap you. This can be temporary. Legal, clean, out-controlled. The officiant stared, speechless. Guests leaned forward. Emily felt humiliation pressing against her ribs like a vice. If she ran, she would always be the girl left at the altar. If she stayed, she rewrote the story. She placed her trembling hand in his. The ballroom gasped, and somewhere near the back, Victoria's confident smile finally disappeared. Discovery moved faster than Ryan expected. Within a week, financial records began surfacing under subpoena. Email chains, calendar invites, investor summaries. The polished public narrative started showing fractures. Emily sat beside Olivia in her office, watching highlighted timestamps appear across the screen. "Look at this," Olivia said, zooming in. 3 days before the wedding, Ryan confirmed a private dinner with Victoria's father to finalize positioning. "Positioning?" Emily repeated quietly. Adrian, seated across from them, remained silent but focused. Olivia continued, "And here, 2 weeks before your ceremony, Ryan forwarded investor projections using your name as community ambassador. He emphasized your background as an educator to soften the project's public image." Emily's stomach tightened, but she didn't look away. "Well, he needed me to look wholesome," she said. "Yes," Olivia replied, "but here's where they slipped." She pulled up a private message thread between Victoria and one of her associates. The messages had been obtained legally through discovery. Victoria: "After Saturday, Ryan's free. Investors won't question optics anymore." Saturday. The wedding day. Emily felt the room go quiet around her. "They planned it," she said slowly. Adrian's voice was calm but edged. "They needed a public exit dramatic enough to justify the merger shift." Olivia nodded. "If Ryan looked like the victim, it protected their financial alignment." Another document surfaced, an internal memo from the Lang Development Group. It referenced anticipated short-term reputational turbulence tied to the event. Turbulence. That was how they had described her humiliation. Emily's hands curled slightly, but her voice remained steady. "They underestimated something." Adrian looked at her. "What?" "They thought I would hide." At that exact moment, Olivia's phone buzzed. She read the notification once, then smiled for the first time in days. "The judge approved our motion to consolidate the cases," she said. "Everything will be examined together." Which meant timelines would align, motives would connect, and under oath, stories couldn't shift. Across Manhattan, Ryan was about to realize his carefully engineered narrative had a fatal flaw. It relied on silence, and Emily was no longer silent. The morning after the wedding felt unreal. Emily woke up in a quiet guest suite overlooking Central Park, sunlight stretching across cream-colored walls. For a moment, she forgot. Then the weight of the previous night settled back into her chest. She was married, not to Ryan, to Dr. Adrian Blake. Her phone was vibrating nonstop on the nightstand. Notifications flooded the screen. News alerts, social media tags, headlines forming faster than she could breathe. Bride replaces groom with celebrity surgeon. Manhattan wedding shock. Love or publicity stunt? She closed her eyes. Across the suite, Adrian stood near the window, already dressed in a crisp white shirt, scrolling calmly through his iPad. His expression wasn't panicked. It was analytical. "This is trending nationally," he said evenly. "But the narrative isn't fixed yet." Emily sat up slowly. "Narrative? If we stay silent too long, they'll invent motives for us." She wrapped the hotel robe tighter around herself. There was no motive. Adrian looked at her carefully. There was. Survival. Downstairs, paparazzi had gathered outside the building. Security texted Adrian updates. The plaza entrance was crowded. Her phone rang. Ryan. She stared at the name flashing across the screen but didn't answer. A second later, a message appeared. "You embarrassed me." Emily felt something inside her harden. Embarrassed him? He had vanished. He had left her alone at the altar in front of 200 guests. And now he felt embarrassed? Adrian noticed her expression shift. He contacted you. She nodded. Adrian walked closer, but kept a respectful distance. Listen carefully. Today will decide everything. If you look unstable, they win. If you look composed, this becomes your strength. She swallowed. And what about you? Your family? He exhaled slowly. They're furious. Right on cue, his phone lit up with his mother's name. Emily realized then that this wasn't just her battle, it was his too. And somewhere across Manhattan, Ryan was already preparing his version of the story. By noon, the backlash had begun. Adrian drove Emily to his family's townhouse on the Upper East Side in a black Mercedes S-Class, not for luxury, but because paparazzi were already crowding every public exit near the hotel. Cameras flashed, even as the car doors closed. Inside the townhouse, the air felt colder than outside. His mother stood near the fireplace, posture rigid, pearls resting sharply against her collarbone. His father sat at the head of the long dining table, silent, but visibly furious. "What have you done?" his mother asked, her voice low and controlled. Adrian didn't flinch. "I got married. To a stranger, in a scandal, in front of investors." Emily stood slightly behind him, feeling the weight of their judgment like a physical pressure. His father finally spoke. "The Lang family called this morning. Their offer to fund the Beverly Hills expansion is withdrawn." There it was. Not concern for him, not curiosity about Emily. Money. His mother's eyes slid toward Emily, cool and assessing. Victoria was a strategic match. This looks impulsive, emotional. Emily felt her cheeks burn but forced herself not to look down. Adrian stepped slightly to the side so they stood shoulder to shoulder. "It was intentional," he said firmly, "and it's legal." "Do you understand what this does to your reputation?" his mother pressed. "A cosmetic surgeon cannot afford instability. Your clients expect control, perfection." The irony wasn't lost on Emily. Perfection. Outside, her phone buzzed again. A news outlet had posted side-by-side photos, her tear-streaked face at the altar and Victoria's composed expression near the exit. The headline read, "Love triangle behind Manhattan's most shocking wedding?" Adrian's father leaned back. "The board is nervous. Investors don't like chaos." Adrian's jaw tightened slightly. "Then they should look at my surgical outcomes, not my marriage." Silence stretched across the room. Finally, his mother delivered the real blow. "If this damages the clinic's valuation, you will handle it alone." Emily realized then that Adrian hadn't only saved her from humiliation, he had just risked everything. And across town, Victoria was already positioning herself as the victim. The backlash didn't stay inside the townhouse. By the next morning, it had reached Adrian's clinic on Fifth Avenue. The waiting room, once filled with actresses and influencers sipping sparkling water, felt tense. 2 high-profile clients had quietly canceled their procedures. Their assistants cited scheduling conflicts, but the timing was obvious. Emily sat in Adrian's private office, watching headlines multiply on his IMAX screen. "Celebrity surgeon marries abandoned bride." PR stunt or midlife crisis? Was the wedding orchestrated? None of it mentioned Ryan disappearing. Instead, the narrative was shifting. Victoria had given a statement. She claimed Ryan had been emotionally manipulated and that Adrian had been pursuing Emily for months. The implication was clear. Betrayal. Emily's stomach dropped. They're turning this into an affair. Adrian leaned back in his chair, calm but calculating. "It's deliberate." His clinic manager knocked gently before entering. Doctor, the Lang Investment Group has postponed their partnership review indefinitely. There it was again. Money tightening like a vice. Outside the glass walls of his office, staff members avoided eye contact. A whisper here, a glance there. Not judgment, but uncertainty. In the cosmetic industry, image was currency. And Adrian's image was now volatile. His phone rang again. Board member. He answered on speaker. "We need reassurance," the voice said carefully. "If clients perceive instability, we lose market confidence." Emily felt guilt rising in her throat. "This is my fault," she whispered after the call ended. Adrian stood immediately. "No, it's strategy. They expected you to collapse. When you didn't, they escalated." He walked toward the window overlooking Fifth Avenue traffic. "They're betting I'll distance myself from you to stabilize the clinic." Emily looked at him carefully. "And will you?" He turned, eyes steady. "If I retreat now, they win." At that exact moment, his phone lit up again. This time, it wasn't a board member. It was Ryan. And instead of anger, the message simply read, "You have no idea what you just walked into." The damage didn't stop at Adrian's clinic. By afternoon, it reached Emily's life. Her phone rang while she was sitting alone in the small teacher's lounge at the elementary school, where she worked part-time. She had insisted on going in, desperate for something normal. The principal's voice sounded strained. "Emily, we've received several parent complaints." Her fingers tightened around the paper coffee cup in her hand. Complaints? There are articles circulating online. Some parents feel the situation is inappropriate. They're concerned about media attention affecting the children. Emily closed her eyes. "I've never brought my personal life into the classroom," she said softly. "I know that," the principal replied gently. "But perception matters." Perception. That word again. By the time she left the building, her access badge had been temporarily suspended, pending review. Not fired, just paused. It felt worse. Outside, a black SUV idled across the street. A camera lens glinted behind tinted glass. Her humiliation was now a public spectacle. Her phone buzzed again. Victoria had posted a carefully worded statement on Instagram, framed against a Manhattan skyline backdrop. "Sometimes women chase status instead of love. I pray for healing." The comments were brutal. Emily read until her vision blurred. Homewrecker, opportunist, gold digger. She hadn't chased anything. She had been left. When she returned to Adrian's apartment, she found him at the kitchen counter, reading financial projections on his MacBook Pro. He looked up immediately. "What happened?" She tried to speak calmly, but her voice cracked. "They suspended me." The parents complained. For the first time since the wedding, Adrian's composure faltered. His jaw tightened. "They're isolating you," he said quietly. "If you lose income and reputation, you become easier to discredit." Emily sank into a chair. "I didn't ask for any of this." He walked closer, kneeling so they were eye level. "I know." Her phone vibrated once more. This time, it wasn't Victoria. It was a legal notification. Ryan had filed a civil claim, alleging emotional damages. The legal notice felt heavier than the wedding dress she had worn 2 days earlier. Emily stared at the email on Adrian's iPad, her hands trembling. Ryan Foster was suing her for emotional distress, reputational damage, and financial loss due to a public act of humiliation that allegedly destroyed his pending business merger. Destroyed his merger. She felt something between disbelief and anger rise in her chest. "He left me at the altar," she whispered, "in front of everyone." Adrian stood behind her, reading every line carefully. His expression didn't explode with rage. It sharpened. "This isn't about emotion," he said calmly. "It's leverage." The claim outlined damages tied to a nearly finalized development deal with the Lang family. The implication was clear. Her public remarriage had destabilized investor confidence. "Boy, they're trying to make you look unstable," Adrian continued. "Impulsive, manipulative." Emily's throat tightened. "If this goes to court, the media will tear me apart again." "Yes," he answered honestly. Silence filled the room. On television, a morning show panel debated the scandal. One commentator suggested that Emily had strategically upgraded to a wealthier husband. The phrase made her stomach turn. Adrian muted the screen. "My board is nervous," he admitted. "If this lawsuit escalates, it drags the clinic into testimony." "So what do we do?" she asked quietly. Before he could answer, the doorbell rang. Olivia stood outside, tablet in hand, expression focused. "I've reviewed the filing," she said as soon as she stepped inside. "It's aggressive, but sloppy." Emily blinked. "Sloppy?" Olivia nodded. "He claims emotional trauma, but we have text evidence that he abandoned the ceremony voluntarily. If we countersue for defamation and financial fraud, this gets dangerous for him." Adrian crossed his arms. "Fraud?" Olivia looked at Emily. "Did Ryan ever ask you to sign documents related to his investors?" A memory surfaced. 6 months ago, a sponsorship agreement. She had signed quickly, trusting him. Her heart dropped. "Yes." Olivia's eyes hardened. "Then this isn't just a broken engagement." She tapped her screen once. "This might be a financial trap." And suddenly, Emily realized the wedding humiliation had never been the end. It had been the opening move. Emily sat at the dining table, staring at Olivia's tablet as if it might rewrite the past. "Show me," she whispered. Olivia enlarged a scanned document. The header carried the logo of a mid-level development firm Ryan had been consulting for 6 months ago. At the bottom of page 3 was Emily's signature, dated 2 weeks before the wedding. "It's a personal guarantor clause," Olivia explained calmly. "You weren't just signing as a witness. You were listed as a reputational co-sponsor." Emily's pulse pounded in her ears. "What does that mean?" "It means he used your name, your clean public image as a teacher, to reassure private investors that this project had community backing." Adrian's jaw tightened. "So if the deal collapsed," Olivia nodded, "they could attempt to claim you contributed to the financial damage." Emily felt cold. "Oh no, I didn't even read it properly," she said. "He told me it was just paperwork for a charity component." Adrian moved closer, but didn't interrupt. Olivia continued. "Here's the twist. The Lang family was negotiating majority control of that development, Victoria's father. The pieces began sliding into place. The engagement, the gala appearances, the sudden pressure for a high-profile wedding." Emily's voice trembled. "So he needed me until the merger was secured. And once it was close," Olivia added, "you became expendable." Adrian exhaled slowly. "That's why he disappeared publicly. If you looked unstable, investors would blame you, not him." Emily felt humiliation shift into clarity. She hadn't just been abandoned. She had been positioned. Her phone buzzed again. Another headline had dropped. "Sources suggest bride's financial involvement in failed deal." Her stomach twisted. "They're moving fast," Olivia said. "If we don't counter this immediately, you become the scapegoat." Emily's eyes filled, but this time the tears didn't fall. She looked at Adrian. He wasn't angry for himself. He was furious for her. And for the first time since the altar, Emily didn't feel like a victim. She felt like someone who had just uncovered a war she didn't know she was standing in. The counterattack didn't begin in a courtroom. It began at a gala. 3 nights later, Adrian was scheduled to attend the Manhattan Aesthetic Medicine Foundation fundraiser at the Plaza Hotel Ballroom, the same place where Emily had been abandoned. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. "Are you sure about this?" Emily asked quietly, as she stood in Adrian's penthouse bedroom, smoothing down a simple navy dress she had chosen herself. No stylist, no designer loan, just understated elegance. "Yes," Adrian answered. "If we hide, it confirms their version." Outside, Manhattan glittered through the windows. Inside the ballroom, whispers started the second they entered. Cameras flashed. But this time, Emily didn't look down. She walked beside Adrian, not behind him. Victoria stood near the bar in a sleek silver gown, speaking to two investors. When she saw Emily, her expression tightened, just slightly. Ryan wasn't far away. He looked polished, composed, playing the part of the wounded businessman, until Adrian stepped toward the center of the room when called to give a brief speech. He adjusted the microphone calmly. "Before we discuss medical innovation," he began, voice steady, "I want to address the speculation surrounding my marriage." The room went still. Emily's heart pounded, but she held her posture. Adrian continued. "My wife was publicly abandoned. She was not unfaithful. She was not manipulative. She was used." A ripple moved through the audience. Ryan's jaw tightened. Adrian didn't raise his voice. "In the coming days, documentation will clarify that certain financial interests were prioritized over human decency." Victoria's smile faded completely. "And I stand beside Emily not as a scandal," Adrian finished, turning slightly toward her, "but as a man who refuses to watch integrity be destroyed for profit." Silence, then light applause, not explosive, but real. Emily felt something unfamiliar rising in her chest. Respect. For the first time since the altar, the narrative had shifted publicly, and across the room, Ryan realized control was slipping through his fingers. The applause at the gala was controlled, polite, but it was enough. Enough to crack the illusion Ryan and Victoria had carefully built. By morning, business outlets were no longer running soft sympathy pieces about a jilted groom. Instead, headlines shifted tone. Questions arise about Foster-Lang merger timeline. Investor documents suggest pre-wedding negotiations. Ryan responded immediately. A press release hit major financial blogs before noon. He accused Adrian of professional misconduct, claiming the surgeon had used his medical influence to manipulate social perception. The statement framed Emily as emotionally unstable and implied she had been pressured into signing the guarantor document. Emily read the release twice, her stomach twisting. "They're doubling down," she said quietly. Adrian didn't look surprised. He was standing at his office window overlooking Fifth Avenue, phone pressed to his ear as he finished a call with his legal advisor. "They think aggression will intimidate you," he replied. Olivia arrived minutes later, tablet already loaded with updates. "It gets worse," she said. Victoria filed a separate civil complaint claiming defamation. "She's arguing your public speech damaged her family's valuation." Emily almost laughed. "She publicly humiliated me," she said. "Now she's claiming damage?" Olivia's voice remained calm. "This is strategic flooding. They want you overwhelmed." Adrian crossed his arms. "Then we escalate properly." Olivia nodded. "We've filed countersuits this morning. Fraudulent inducement, conspiracy to defame, financial misrepresentation." Emily inhaled slowly. "What happens next?" Olivia met her eyes directly. "So discovery." That word felt heavy. It meant subpoenas, financial records, private messages, bank transfers, investor communications. It meant everything would come into light. Across town, Ryan's office buzzed with activity. He reassured partners that the scandal would fade. Victoria posed for photos outside a midtown building, projecting confidence. But behind the scenes, tension was rising. Because once discovery began, timelines would be compared, contracts would be examined, And if their coordination was proven, it wouldn't just be scandal. It would be legal exposure. Emily looked at Adrian. For the first time, she wasn't afraid of what might surface. She was ready for it. Discovery moved faster than Ryan expected. Within a week, financial records began surfacing under subpoena. Email chains, calendar invites, investor summaries. The polished public narrative started showing fractures. Emily sat beside Olivia in her office, watching highlighted timestamps appear across the screen. "Look at this," Olivia said, zooming in. 3 days before the wedding, Ryan confirmed a private dinner with Victoria's father to finalize positioning. "Positioning?" Emily repeated quietly. Adrian, seated across from them, remained silent but focused. Olivia continued, "And here, 2 weeks before your ceremony, Ryan forwarded investor projections using your name as community ambassador. He emphasized your background as an educator to soften the project's public image." Emily's stomach tightened, but she didn't look away. "Well, he needed me to look wholesome," she said. "Yes," Olivia replied, "but here's where they slipped." She pulled up a private message thread between Victoria and one of her associates. The messages had been obtained legally through Discovery. Victoria: "After Saturday, Ryan's free. Investors won't question optics anymore." Saturday. The wedding day. Emily felt the room go quiet around her. "They planned it," she said slowly. Adrian's voice was calm but edged. "They needed a public exit dramatic enough to justify the merger shift." Olivia nodded. "If Ryan looked like the victim, it protected their financial alignment." Another document surfaced, an internal memo from the Lang Development Group. It referenced anticipated short-term reputational turbulence tied to the event. Turbulence. That was how they had described her humiliation. Emily's hands curled slightly, but her voice remained steady. "They underestimated something." Adrian looked at her. "What?" "They thought I would hide." At that exact moment, Olivia's phone buzzed. She read the notification once, then smiled for the first time in days. "The judge approved our motion to consolidate the cases," she said. "Everything will be examined together," which meant timelines would align, motives would connect, and under oath, stories couldn't shift. Across Manhattan, Ryan was about to realize his carefully engineered narrative had a fatal flaw. It relied on silence, and Emily was no longer silent. The hearing wasn't dramatic. There were no raised voices, no theatrical objections, just facts. Ryan sat at the far end of the polished conference table, his tailored suit immaculate, his expression carefully composed. Victoria sat beside him, posture rigid, eyes forward. Across from them, Emily sat next to Adrian and Olivia. The room felt colder than any ballroom. Under oath, timelines were presented, email confirmations, investor calls, calendar entries that overlapped suspiciously with the days leading up to the wedding. Olivia stood and projected a document onto the screen, an internal Lang Group memo. Contingency strategy, post-ceremony transition narrative. The date stamped at the top was 2 days before Emily's wedding. Ryan shifted slightly in his seat. Victoria's attorney objected, but the judge allowed it. Olivia continued calmly. "This memo outlines reputational management following what is described as a planned relational dissolution event." The phrase hung in the air. Planned, relational, dissolution. Emily felt her heartbeat in her throat, but she didn't look away. Adrian's presence beside her was steady, grounded. The financial analyst called to testify confirmed that investor confidence dipped not because of Emily's remarriage, but because of discrepancies found in projected revenue tied to Ryan's development proposal. Projected numbers had been inflated, risk disclosures minimized, and once the public scandal forced deeper scrutiny, those inconsistencies surfaced. Ryan's composure cracked for the first time. "That has nothing to do with her," he argued. Olivia didn't raise her voice. "Correct," she said. It has everything to do with you." Silence followed. Victoria's father, seated in the back, avoided eye contact entirely. Within hours, the Lang Group released a statement distancing themselves from Ryan's independent projections. By evening, financial news outlets reported that Ryan's merger had officially collapsed. Investor funding froze pending investigation. His lawsuit against Emily quietly lost momentum. Adrian received a message from his board that night. Clinic valuation stabilizing. Market confidence returning. Emily stepped onto the balcony overlooking Manhattan, the city lights sharp and alive. For the first time since the altar, she felt something shift completely. Ryan hadn't just lost face, he had lost control. And this time, it wasn't her name attached to the fall. The shift didn't explode overnight. It unfolded carefully. First, a respected financial journalist published a detailed timeline analysis. No drama, no speculation, just dates, documents, and discrepancies. The article didn't defend Emily emotionally, it simply laid out the facts. And facts were harder to attack. By midweek, morning news programs invited legal analysts instead of gossip commentators. The language changed from runaway bride scandal to possible premeditated reputational manipulation. Emily sat at Adrian's kitchen counter, watching the coverage in silence. For the first time, her name wasn't paired with ridicule. It was paired with the word victim. Her phone buzzed repeatedly, not with accusations, but with messages. Parents from school, former colleagues, even distant acquaintances. "No, I'm so sorry. We misjudged. Proud of you for standing up." She read each one slowly. Across town, Victoria attempted damage control. She released a brief statement, claiming she had no knowledge of internal financial projections and had only supported Ryan emotionally. But Discovery had already revealed her pre-wedding messages. Screenshots circulated quietly among investors. Confidence in the Lang Group wavered. Ryan's social media accounts went silent. Emily's suspension at school was lifted after the district reviewed the legal developments. The principal called personally. "We should have waited before reacting," she admitted. Emily accepted the apology without bitterness. That night, Adrian attended a board meeting at his clinic. The outcome was clear. Patient bookings had returned to normal levels. Several high-profile clients publicly expressed continued trust in his professionalism. He came home later than usual. Emily was standing by the window overlooking Central Park when he entered. "It's stabilizing," he said softly. She turned toward him. "Not because of us defending ourselves," she replied. "Because the truth held." Adrian studied her expression carefully. "You're different," he observed. She nodded once. "I don't feel ashamed anymore." Outside, Manhattan moved forward. Cars flowing, lights glowing, headlines updating. But for the first time since the wedding, Emily wasn't bracing for impact. She was standing in the open, and the storm had finally turned direction. The city had gone quiet in a way only Manhattan could, still buzzing, but no longer hostile. 2 weeks after the hearing, Adrian and Emily attended a smaller charity dinner overlooking the Hudson. No cameras waited outside. No reporters lingered near the entrance. The scandal had moved on to something newer, something louder. Inside the softly lit venue, people greeted them normally. Not cautiously, not curiously, normally. Emily noticed it immediately. No lingering stares, no whispers behind hands, just polite conversation and genuine smiles. A board member's wife even squeezed her hand and said, "You handled yourself with grace." Grace. That word stayed with her. Later that evening, as the event wound down, Adrian stepped outside onto the terrace. The skyline shimmered in the distance. Emily joined him, wrapping her shawl tighter against the cool breeze. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Adrian broke the silence. When I asked you to marry me that night, he said quietly, I told you it could be temporary. She nodded. It was strategy, protection. Yes. He looked at her fully now. But somewhere between the headlines and the hearings, it stopped feeling strategic. Emily's heartbeat slowed, not raced. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't dramatic. He was honest. I've spent years surrounded by perfection, Adrian continued. Faces engineered to look flawless, but none of it ever felt real. That night, when you were standing there, hurt, humiliated, you were still more genuine than anyone in that room. Her throat tightened. I didn't save you because I needed a wife, he said. I stayed because I didn't want to lose you. The word lose hung softly between them. Emily exhaled slowly. We were pretending, she said. And now? Adrian stepped closer, but not enough to crowd her. Now, I don't want to. There was no orchestra, no applause, just the quiet certainty of two people who had seen the worst of each other's circumstances and stayed. For the first time, Emily realized something important. The wedding at the plaza had been survival. What was happening now was choice. Ryan tried to hold his composure. He gave one final interview to a mid-level business podcast, insisting that he had been misrepresented and that the financial discrepancies were clerical misunderstandings. He spoke smoothly, confidently, like a man who still believed he could talk his way out of anything. But this time, the numbers didn't bend. Within days, the official investigation into his development projections concluded. Revenue forecasts had been inflated beyond reasonable market standards. Risk disclosures were incomplete. Emails confirmed he had anticipated short-term reputational fallout tied to the wedding. Investors withdrew completely. The Lang Group released a formal statement terminating all pending associations with him, citing misalignment of ethical standards. Victoria's public tone shifted overnight. Her social media accounts went private. She issued a brief note claiming she had been unaware of internal financial strategies and wished to focus on personal growth. No one responded. Ryan attempted to contact Emily twice. The first time she didn't answer. The second time she did. I never meant for this to spiral, he said, voice tight. We could have handled it quietly. Emily stood by the window in Adrian's apartment, Manhattan light steady beyond the glass. You planned it quietly, she replied calmly. It just didn't stay quiet. Silence stretched between them. I loved you, Ryan added, softer now. Emily considered the words carefully. You loved what I represented, she said, not who I was. She ended the call gently. No anger, no revenge, just closure. Across town, Ryan's professional license faced review due to the financial investigation. Legal fees mounted, partnerships dissolved. The circle that once applauded him stepped back. Adrian's clinic, meanwhile, announced a new expansion funded independently, no merger required. And Emily returned to her classroom. The children didn't ask about headlines. They handed her drawings instead. One little girl tugged her sleeve. Did you get your happy ending? She asked innocently. Emily smiled. Not yet, she answered. But for the first time, she knew it was coming. 6 months later, there were no crystal chandeliers, no society pages, no strategic guest lists, just a quiet stretch of green in Central Park, early autumn leaves drifting gently across a small white aisle runner. Emily stood beneath a simple arch of ivory roses. Her dress was soft, understated, nothing like the dramatic gown she once wore at the plaza. This time, there were no cameras waiting to capture a spectacle. Only people who truly mattered. Her father stood beside her again, stronger now, healthier. When he squeezed her arm, his eyes were clear. Ready? He asked. She nodded. Across the grass, Adrian waited. No performance, no calculated posture. Just a man standing still. watching her approach as if she were the only person in the world. There were fewer than 30 guests. Olivia, a few close colleagues from Adrian's clinic, and 2 teachers from Emily's school. No investors, no reporters, no one with hidden motives. The officiant spoke simply. This marriage begins not in fantasy, but in truth. Emily's heart felt steady. When it was her turn to speak, she didn't recite rehearsed vows. "The first time I stood in front of you," she said softly, "I was humiliated. Today, I stand here chosen." Adrian's voice was calm but full. "I asked you to marry me to protect you. Today, I ask you to marry me because I love you." There were tears, but not from pain. When he slipped the ring onto her finger, it wasn't about status or optics. It was about presence. After the ceremony, they walked slowly through the park, hands intertwined. No rush, no headlines. Ryan's name had faded from conversation months ago. Victoria's influence had dissolved quietly. Life had corrected itself. Emily looked up at Adrian as sunlight filtered through the trees. "Are we still pretending?" she teased softly. He smiled. "No," he said. "Now, we're building." And this time, nothing about it was strategic. It was simply real.